So many people have said they'd love to hear you talk about this. They can't do it this morning. Mm-hmm. So my thought would be maybe you would do your talking and we would record that part, and then we'd stop recording and just we could ask you questions. And would that be okay?
Absolutely.
That's great.
Whatever sounds good. Should we wait an extra 5 minutes? I'm not sure we have the exact timing right now. It's 4:55 here.
I think we might want to wait. Maybe you can just, or we can just talk about life or whatever.
Absolutely. We could talk about hiking, and I am very interested in the Appalachian Trails. Unfortunately, it takes 3 different visas to accomplish the total part of it. So it was always I always restrain myself because it means that I need to go to Canada and then come back to the US or back to France, stop it. And yes, so I read some books. What is the name? A Walk in the Woods by Bill Bryson.
Bill Bryson,
Robert Frost. No?
It's Bill Bryson. It's maybe I don't know that one, maybe, but yeah. And oh boy, I wanted to be with them, except about the bear part, because of course on my way to Santiago there was no bear possible. It's just it didn't happen. No.
Did you ever walk on the long trail when you were in Vermont?
Never.
Okay, so that's it intersects with the Appalachian Trail, but it's shorter, obviously, because it's only in Vermont. And we've done most of it just in tiny little chunks with the kids. So maybe when Sarah gets older, you'll have other.
I will definitely visit if we can travel. And yes, when Sarah gets older, we really would like to do some bicycle trips too, because it goes faster with the bicycles, and do some camping sites along the way. And my dream would be to go to Morocco.
Ooh.
So it would be from our place to the family in Morocco. And by bicycle, it would take about 3 weeks with 2 borders to cross, and a boat to take. It would be fantastic. Yeah.
Wow.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Well, my friend Celia from France is also joining.
Great.
It's wonderful. Technology is just wonderful.
Hi, Annie. Hey, Patty. Oh, some more. This will be a larger gathering. Friends, we were thinking we might, because so many people wanted to have this taped, but they can't come this morning, that maybe Claire will just give her whole presentation and we'll tape that, and then we'll turn off the taping and we can all ask questions and engage with her.
While my document is on the screen, can people also see me?
Yes.
Oh, you can also see me. This is wonderful. I didn't know that. Okay, cool. Okay, great.
And I think when it records, Claire, it will be what's on the screen plus a small inset video of you talking to us.
Okay, fantastic. So is it time to start? What time is it in Vermont now? Is it 10?
We have 1 minute.
Okay. So we're definitely on the same clock, except with the le fuseau horaire, time difference. Yes.
Yeah. And what time is it where you are?
4 p.m.
So it's 6 hours.
So that's why you can see the lovely background, because I am in the office and it's the electrical panel from the office. It's just the only quiet place around. So, and the only place where I'm not supposed to, because I'm at work, but I could take off the mask, because otherwise kept the mask on all the time, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we're good whenever you want to start for us. And we'll just all say thank you so much for doing this. A lot of us are totally fascinated. And
thank you for joining us. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. My trip was in 2010. So it was almost day by day, 11 years ago. So it was a long time ago. I am almost turning 40 in July. So in 2010, I decided that it was time to go. So in March 2010, I quit my job. I left my boyfriend. I wrote my notice for my apartment. It's a 3-month notice. And I went to the store and the hiking store, and I bought a pair of shoes and all the equipment. I didn't know what Santiago de Compostela was. I knew it was a pilgrimage, but it was kind of vague for me, right? And I just went. So the process took a little longer because I started in May. I had to finish my notice at work and things like that. But and then I went. So my starting point was Tours. Here you can see Auberge de Jeunesse. That's the hostel in Tours. And it was important for me to go by myself. My aunt, who visited Vermont with me in 2008, I spent different summers at the French school at Middlebury College. And she came over that summer with me. And unfortunately, the year after, she committed suicide. And it was a tough moment for me. So I just decided to let go and go on a trip. And I had time, I had money at that time, so I decided to walk. So here is the starting point, Tours, and to be a little more precise, we need the map. As you can see, you got several ways. So when we are in Europe, there is even one way from Moscow, so it goes really far. You can start really far. And I chose Tours, it's on the red line, if you can see it, because on the 4 traditional ways in France, this one is the least used. So I was pretty sure not to meet people. Indeed, I met only 20 people in 5 weeks. So it was just fantastic because I needed a lot of silence. I needed to be confronted to my life, myself, and it was great. I left without a smartphone. I didn't have one at that time. I had no music with me, so I sang a lot, which was useful during the scary moments in the deep forest. But it was just fantastic to feel my body step by step, and the elements, to be under the rain, to be in the warmth, in the cold, under a storm. Yeah, some parts were difficult, but it was important to feel it, you know, as you feel the wind on your skin, things like that. It had to be very touchy for me, very powerful through my body. Yes. So the 4 ways, the well-known one is the one from Le Puy. If you can see it, it's on the light blue. It's technically Le Puy-en-Velay, and it goes to the southwest. And as you can see, 3 ways are joining in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, a little bit before Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port in Ostabat. And from that point, you get a lot of pilgrims, and I will go back to that later. So I started in Tours and I reached Sahagún. If you can see it, that's almost half of Spain, a little more than half of Spain. It took me 56 days and I walked every single day. From 8 kilometers to 32. Okay, wait, I think I don't know. I just checked for the kilos, but I will talk about that later. So sometimes it was a very short day. I walked for 2 hours, sometimes during 10 hours. So it's like over 1,000 kilometers, but a lot of people get pride from that. But for me, it was not the point. It was not a challenge. I'm not a sporty person. So there was nothing glorious in walking 32 kilometers per day. I was suffering because sometimes there's no housing and you just need to walk to reach a place where you can sleep. So most of the time it was not what I planned. Plus I got a bit lost between 2 and 5 kilometers per day. So at the end of the day, it was a lot of kilometers, okay? About this itinerary, I just would like to mention that it is a UNESCO itinerary. So it is well known in Europe. A lot of people are hiking on these ways. All right, so that's the itinerary. Now I would like to talk about some housing, and then we will switch to the backpack. Okay, so for example, that's a camping site in Châtellerault where I stayed. I slept in that bungalow, the first one you can see on the picture. So it is well organized since it's a UNESCO site. And even the Pope, Jean Paul II, said that he encouraged young people to walk and go on pilgrimage. So a lot of housings are now available along the way. This one is a camping site from the city. And so the town office is managing it. And sometimes I would pay €5 for a night. And sometimes, because I had no choice, I would stay in a very luxurious place for €65, which was totally insane because you don't spend much day by day, right? So that was kind of housing. And this is Poitiers. You can see beautiful cathedrals and churches. And I understand that for American people, it would be absolutely amazing to go along places like that on a daily basis. For a French person, for a person in Europe, we have churches like that at every corner. So it is still quite amazing to see places like that, but we are used to it. I'm not going to say that we are bored of it, but we don't have the same reaction or the same feelings. But still, some places were filled with spirit. I would even say Holy Spirit. And that was quite amazing for me. Sometimes when you walk along the way and when you walk on very old pavement, you feel the halo of people who walked there before you. So the way has been used for 1,000 years, roughly. So a lot of people have hiked or went by these ways. So my favorite part is when you walk on stone pavement and you can see how much they have been used because it's carved, right? It's just fantastic. So this is Poitiers along the way. Sometimes I would sleep in monasteries. No cell phones, not allowed to talk during the meal. Just focus on prayers, on yourself, on resting, on praying for the world. It was fantastic. This one is a modern one in Ligugé. It's close to Bordeaux. And I remember that night, we were just two, a girl who lived inside the monastery in a small house aside of it, and myself. And so we were just chatty. We talked all along the evening because there was nobody to disturb. The monks were in another room. Okay, places like that, oof, breathtaking, right? That's Saint Crypt. And the refugio, the places for pilgrims, has one wall in common. So we were sleeping just next to that place in bunk beds. I will show you a picture about that later. And I had the privilege to sing inside it. It was empty and it was just marvelous. This experience and the beauty of the architecture, the light, it was just great. This one is a nice one. It's in Gradignan, so we are next to Bordeaux, and the place used by the town office used to be a monastery. They transformed it into a refugio for pilgrims. And I remember I met Daniel, who was from Brittany. And when you meet people along the way, you create a strong bond. And I will talk about that later when we talk about people. And I met Daniel later in Brittany. And I didn't see him for like 8 years. And then we met and it was like we saw each other 3 days before. This is the Landes forest. It looks very good, except that sometimes you would have a straight line for 5 kilometers. I'm not kidding. It's like super straight. And then another line for another 5 kilometers. These days were very, very long because there was no options for housing. And when I went there in 2010, it was quite depressing because we had the big storm a few years before and a lot of trees were down. So we could see people working with the trees and cleaning the forest, but it really broke my heart to see a huge percentage of the forest down. Okay. As you can see, it's never raining on my pictures. Okay, I took them from the internet. These are not my own pictures, but I had a lot of rain during my way and sometimes it would be quite difficult. Here is Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. That is the last French step on the map, the famous bridge. And maybe for some of you who saw the movie The Way, it is partly shot in that city. Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port is a turning point. A lot of people are arriving from the airport or by train, and they are starting the way in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. So remember, I met only 20 people during 5 weeks. Once, I saw absolutely nobody during 5 days in a row. I was alone in the housing. I collected the key from a person at the town office and in the morning put it in a mailbox. That was it. So sometimes the connections with people were very scarce. But in Saint-Jean, I saw 200 hikers per day. So the atmosphere was totally different. And honestly, I really didn't like it. I know that you guys are excited to hike the Camino one day in Spain, but my favorite part was the French one. Not because I'm French, but because it's more quiet. The Spanish part is crowded. Plus, I didn't know, but in 2010, it was a special year because when St. James falls on a Sunday in the calendar, there is a huge reception with the king and they open the specific doors at the cathedral and everybody is coming from all around the world, the country, Europe, and it was just not the right year to hike, but I didn't know that. So here I am in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. Nice city, last step before Spain, before crossing the mountain. And here are the Pyrenees. This is the Roncevaux path, Roncesvalles. And in the mountain, you cross the border and then you are in Spain. 16 kilometers up, 8 kilometers down. longest day in my life, the longest one. I mean, I didn't cry because I hiked for 5 weeks before, but it was really, really hard on me, really hard on me. And in the valley, the weather was beautiful. It was like 25 degrees. It was June. Everything was good. But they had snow in the mountain 3 days before, and even the path was closed. Each year, a person died in the mountain. Usually it's a man, and usually it's a person who knows mountains. So they don't respect what the authorities say, and they just go in the mountain and they die. So it was a very difficult day, and I saw some pilgrims who had no idea of what it was. And during the hike, I found a little church, and I went there to have some food and rest a little bit. I did it in 9 hours, and I didn't stop except there. And when I opened this little church in a path, like in the middle of a field, I found 25 pilgrims, totally blue, totally frozen. They had all the backpack on themselves, the socks on their hands, and all the equipment, all the layers they could find. And they were sick, and they were exhausted. And I was tired, but I was fine because I started my way 5 weeks before, and I was mentally prepared for the mountain, right? Beautiful landscapes. I mean, it was just marvelous to hike like that. Okay, they have specific horses over there, but I don't remember their name. Okay, Spain. This is Roncesvalles Abbey. So from now on, it's a little bit flatter and crowded. I went to Mass there. Okay, now let's talk about the backpack. So when I started, just hang on a second because I checked in pounds. My backpack was 12 kilos, 26 pounds. After the 56 days, it was only 17 pounds, 8 kilos. Because we carry the weight of our fear. So you are always afraid that you will need something, and you don't. Most of the time you don't. So I had a compass. I mean, there's no need of a compass. I don't even know how to use it. I had a big notebook. Why? You just need a piece of paper and think about stuff, you know. I had a disposable camera. It was light. I had a sleeping bag, 3 pairs of socks, 2 t-shirts, a fleece jacket, 2 pants, some underwears, a guidebook, a sewing kit, a first aid kit, sandals, some food, water, a yoga mat, a water bottle, a pen, toothbrush, soap, shampoo, things to do the laundry. But week after week, the backpack was getting lighter, definitely. Yes. So it's not my backpack, but it definitely looks like mine. It's just a different brand. And you can see the sandals on the side. Of course, the shell, which is the common sign to know that the person is hiking the way. And you can see the sleeping bag, the things on top, the little bag on the side. And when I walked, I had 1 stick, which is a big mistake because you need 2. But I didn't know that at that time. Now I walk with 2 sticks or no stick at all. Okay. So this is the kind of example I found on internet. Okay, so the person is wearing shorts, pretty heavy backpack, but looks okay, and a stick. And here I am 10 years ago, thin and beautiful. I have no idea where it is. It's somewhere on the way because in 2011, I hiked another part in France. In 2012, in 2013, in 2015, I hiked different places. And in 2018, I did it by bicycle to Burgos, to Spain, and then I went to Morocco. So this is 2011, and you can see a little bit of the backpack and the yoga mats. Okay. And here is Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, famous city. And as you see, it's Europa Compostela. and it's written 2010 because that's the anniversary year. It's a typical Basque country place with the roofs in red and wooden houses. It's just beautiful. I had the privilege to go back many times as an hospitaliera. This is my good friend, Isabel. Okay. She came to my wedding in Morocco and I met her in 2011. We were in the same albergue and we started the same way on the same day and we just got along so well. I consider her family now. I visited her in Belgium. She lives in Liège and she visited me. It's only 3 hours from my place. She came many times and yeah, it's good to see her. So I have no idea where it is. It's just somewhere next to Bourges. I don't know these people. They were on the internet, but it's exactly the kind of people you can meet along the way. And my rain protection was exactly like the one on the right side. Okay, and the hats, the age of the people you meet mostly on the way, it's also that kind of range because most of the time people are retired. Remember that in France, you can be retired at 63 years old. So people use this break to find what they want to do in their retirement time. And mostly men on that picture, you can see mostly girls, but you see mostly men between 60 and 70s along the way. Okay. And that would be the last one. It's just an example of places where you go through, usually from one city to another. It's never the shortened way. You go along over bridges, through forests, and it takes a long time to reach different places, but it's absolutely beautiful. Most of the time you are away from roads, so it's really great, except from time to time you are next to a highway, which is not cool, but no choice because the highway is on the Roman way, so which we are following. And yeah, it was great. So housing would be things like bunk beds, 4 bunk beds in a small room for €5 a night, would be camping sites, and you can go in a bungalow, would be refugios like the one in Roncesvalles, which doesn't exist anymore. 200 bunk beds in the same room. It was just horrible. Sometimes in very chic places, sometimes at people's place. And after the Camino, it was important for me to be hospitaliera. So I hosted people at my place in Chartres. I was living in Chartres at that time, which is a huge step on the way, strong history. Cathedral is 1,000 years old. Big step on the Santiago de Compostela way. So I hosted like 25 people in 3 years. And yeah, people were the best and the worst. Let me explain. I met people who are still in my life and we are having a strong bond. But I met also a lot of people I will never remember. I don't remember the names. I don't remember their faces because it was just a mass of them, you know. And for some reason, people group by nationality. So when you want to rest at your albergue at the end of the day and you want to be relaxed, usually your dorm is next to a window, and behind this window, there is a bar full of Germans, and they're talking very loud, and then you get the Spanish who are all together. And it was quite strange how people regrouped by nationality. So I would advise to choose a path with as less people as possible, because the first 5 days, it's fine. You meet people, you talk. And then there's always this question, why are you here? Where did you start? How heavy is your backpack? And at some point I thought I'm gonna write it on my t-shirt And people would just read it on me because I'm just sick of saying the same stuff over and over again, you know. So yeah, my advice is to hike at the end of the year, like September, October, because during summertime it's just impossible. And the typical day would be to wake up very early to have the maximum of daylight to hike, and to hike around 20-25 kilometers. And I would take a nap in nature in the afternoon on my yoga mat. I had the privilege to see a fox, and the fox didn't see me, and the wind was coming towards me. So I was quiet, and the fox came, buried something, and then went away. It was just extraordinary. And birds and calves. I remember one nap, I settled next to a field. The field was empty. And when I woke up, I saw 2 baby calves really close to me on the other side of the fence, like breathing on me, like, what is that? So surprising, but it was extraordinary. And I would be at the refugio at 5 p.m., 4, 5, 6 p.m., 7, depends. Have a shower. Lunch would be just some sandwich or sardines and cheese, it depends. And usually the dinner is provided at the refugio, if there is an hospitaliera or hospitaliero, so that would be fantastic. And some of them would be with a box, so you give the contribution you can. And if you can't, you can even take money from that box to continue your journey. So that is really great. And it was important for me to be hospitaliera after that. So during 3 summers, I went during 2 weeks with a friend, and I welcomed pilgrims at the refugio, and I would clean it, and I would change the beddings, and I would cook and exchange stories and pieces of advice. And I was not walking, but I was with them along the way, and it felt really great. After that kind of experience, which is the strongest experience of my life, you miss it. Now I have a baby, and I am married, and I live in Metz, northeast of France, and it's great, and my life is fantastic. But there's always this, the Camino is calling you. This call is still on, and I invite all of you to listen to it and follow it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Claire. That was wonderful. And do you have time that we can ask you questions?
Absolutely.
Please feel free, friends.
Sherry, are you managing the questions? Because I cannot see everybody.
Oh, I think maybe if you stop doing screen share and then do gallery view, you can see us all.
Okay, gallery view. How do I do the gallery view?
Up in the top right corner.
Affichage. Affichage gallery, yes. Yay!
Great. So I was always curious if you had to make reservations ahead of time at the refugios, or do you just have to show up early enough, or how does that work?
In France, you have to book. In Spain, first first serve. So sometimes it is 4, 5 p.m. You walked a lot. You reach the albergue because on your map, you decided to go there and it's full. So you have to walk 4 more kilometers to the next one, and it could be painful. Yeah, it happened to me many times, yes. And usually people are arriving early, so the backpack is in queue and people are going into town or resting around the places. And the backpack are the order to register in the refugio.
And so, like, did you have a prayer or a mantra or something that you were saying, or did you take reading, or was it just the nature and the walking? And
I don't remember the readings. Sometimes at the refugios, I would find some books. some used books, and I would take one and then leave it along the way. And I had no mantra. Mm-mm. Anything else?
What about lunch?
So lunch would be very simple: bread, fruit, vegetables, most of the time sardines, because it's super easy to transport, cheese. It would be quite light. I had a knife, some nuts, depends. But usually hikers are eating more in the evening because we can cook something. Yeah, like pasta or some soup to get something warm. It would depend also on the weather. Sometimes no lunch because it's raining. You wanted to be in a field and relax. You can't. Okay, so you just snack like that and you walk. Yeah.
And you carried your yoga mat the whole way?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very useful. Yep.
I wondered when I saw it in that picture of you, I thought, oh, that's an odd thing, because does it mean that when you get there at night, there's no mattress or?
Sometimes there were no mattresses, but most of the time you get a bunk beds. And of course, you always get the top beds because you are super tired and they're like, okay, you're young, you take that one. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to reach it. So you just organize everything in your head. Okay, let's go to the bathroom, to this, to that, to that. And then because when I'm on top, I will not go down anymore. So yeah, sometimes it was difficult. But in Spain, in free refugios, we slept on the floor. Yeah. Hence the yoga mats. I was really happy to have it.
Yeah.
Yep. But it was free. I mean, of course, the budget was like 1,000 euros for 2 months. Okay, trip back included. But you can spend 10 times that if you want to be in very chic places. Yeah.
And so was your family worried about you?
Constantly.
Okay.
They were constantly worried, and actually my backup, my digital backup, my parents were at home and they were following me day by day, and they were giving me pieces of advice. Oh, you could go there. There is a hotel, but it's 2 kilometers far from the way, but then you can reach it by that road, because I was carrying a paper map, okay? I mean, I was a bit old school at that time still. And so my parents were helping me because I had no internet with me. So I was just talking with the people, and in each refugio, you see information for the next step, and then you decide what you want to do. It is quite impossible to get lost. I mean, the signs to follow are very obvious. It's very well done, and you get water every 3 kilometers because France is so small. There is always a graveyard, a person, a building, a company. You just knock. I did it many times. I knock. People are like, yeah, what do you want? Like, are you selling something? Water, please? And then they give me water and we chat, and no problem. Sometimes I got even invited for aperitif, so nuts and beer, and oh, you should stay for dinner. No, it's late. I have 10 kilometers to hike. I have to go. But sometimes, you know, it works. If you don't fear people, it just works. Yeah.
Well, I loved your concept about giving, that you pack your pack with all your fears and then you can just sort of let them go as you were walking. Lovely.
It is hard in our times to live with less. So you guys are in Vermont. This is very specific. I don't know if it's specific in America, but I mean, some people are trying just like you to have less and spend less and consume less and reduce energy waste, stuff like that. But here with my generation, this is not it's totally not the credo, right? It's when people talk about me in Chartres, which is a quite chic city, it's like, oh, you know, it's the girl who has no car, no TV, no, you know, I'm the not girl. I don't have stuff. So it's strange, but it was not very difficult to let things go, because when you carry them physically on your back, you just discover that you don't need them anymore. Yeah. Or I gave them to a person who was in need. For example, I had only one blister on day 50. I walked 56 days. Yeah. Because my nickname on the way is the turtle. I walked very slowly. But when I reached the refugio and I see the guys who passed by, like the rabbits, right? And they're like, oh, I'm hurt. Oh, my foot. I'm like, oh, wait, I can cure you. I have this, I have that. And they're like, oh, you have no blisters? No, I don't hike fast. So yeah, it was no competition, but I saw a lot of people who were having a competition against themselves on the way. Mm-hmm. And this, I don't know if penitence, is it the same in English? It's like, you need to suffer. You need to suffer. No, okay, it was not my approach. So, yeah. According to the office in Santiago, when you reach it, you're supposed to say the motive. Was it religious? Was it for sport? Was it for psychological reason? I mean, I don't remember all the possibilities. Less than 5% of the people are saying that it was for religious reasons. So it is not a religious way anymore. Of course, you're supposed to pay tribute to St. James, who was with the Christ at the beginning, and okay. But it's just a pretext, right? Because we know that the person buried in that cathedral in Santiago is not that person, but who cares? It's just for the beauty of it and the people you meet along the way, and especially yourself that you meet along the way. That is the most important people to meet. It's just yourself. And I guess that's why so many people hike Pacific Crest Trail, Appalachian Trail, whatever trail. That's why people hike. And thanks God, hiking ways exist.
I was thinking as I was watching you and seeing the photographs of some of these places. Now, I've been in Northern Europe and in Russia and Mongolia, but I have never been to Southern Europe. And I got to thinking, this is a large part of my cultural heritage. I've never been exposed to it. And I'm looking at these towns and these buildings and really feeling drawn to doing something like that. Maybe not a big long stretch, but flying over and taking my pack and selecting a segment for that experience and to get that feeling for old Europe that is also part of me. I have other parts of me that I've explored because I live in America and part of me is very American. But most of my ancestors who came from Europe came from Northern Europe. And I'm interested in learning more about Southern Europe. And ironically, the languages I studied were Southern European languages. I don't remember them now.
You should come, Annie. It is a wonderful thing to do.
You made it, I understand now from what you've told us, how straightforward it can be and how simple. It doesn't have to be complicated at all.
Yes, and the logistic has improved over the years. There are specific companies that can carry your backpack. If it is too hard, you just pack something and you pay, and the backpack is waiting for you at the refugio. Because some people just can't. Yeah. But if you still want to experience it, you can. And you want to go to a camping site, sleep on the floor? Fine, €5. You want to go to a hotel for €60? Fine, you just do it. You get the same stamp. Let me show you. You get the same stamp on it. This is my credential. It's my pilgrim passport. And I got the stamps from each night in each place, okay? And on the other side. And this is what you're supposed to show at the end in Santiago to get the certificate, okay? And it's just like a passport, name and everything on it. And it says that the person who is walking should benefit any assistance. So we're supposed to help, and it worked. I remember once I met pilgrims on the way and they say, oh, we're staying at that place tonight. And so, oh, it's cool. It's closer to what I wanted to do. Okay, maybe I could go with you. Say, okay, yeah, let's go. And then I arrived there and the girl had only 2 rooms and she said, oh, you should have called before. It's not ready. And I was like, and of course she let me in. She couldn't let me out, you know, and she saw me exhausted and she's like, would you like some dinner with like hot dinner? I'm like, and I got it, of course. I mean, it's just, it opens door also to be a girl by yourself. Nobody will leave you behind. Yeah. And I was feeling so safe, you have no idea. How many people every day told me, oh, but you're gonna be raped. By whom? There's nobody. I saw a fox this morning, you know. There's nobody along the way. People are at work or in their cars or in transportation in big cities. So I felt extremely safe, really. Especially on the French part because I was so alone. And I know I could knock at any door, explain my problems. I need a doctor. Please drive me to the closest train station. People would do it. Because I'm a girl and I'm on the way. People even gave me prayers to carry with me. People gave me food. People invited me to have a shower, to do things I haven't done for a long time. It was extraordinary. And you keep faith in people through that kind of experience, which is hard nowadays. So Annie, come on and we walk together.
It's in my mind. I got that. Yeah.
Okay.
I've done some similar things here in North America, and my experience is very much like yours.
Okay.
Except that no pretty old buildings.
But that's history, right? Yeah.
Oh, the mountains. I got to go on reservations. I went to every Indian reservation I could because I'm so mixed. But yeah, in terms of the interactions with people and people being helpful, yeah, same thing.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
My pleasure. It was a very nice time.
And
thank you, everybody.
Many people hope that you'll do it again in the fall or the winter.
Sure. Sure.
Thanks, Claire. Thank you.
See you soon.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of it.
We wanted to listen. We wanted to listen, of course.
Oh, thanks.
This was a real treat.
Oh, thanks. So bye, everybody, and see you soon. Bye.